Okay. Let's see. Let's go. Okay. We're just getting ready to go live here with our live streams. We are going live on YouTube Long, YouTube Shorts. We're going live on X, and we are also going live on TikTok. I can see chats from pretty much across all the streams. So if you got questions, comments, drop them in. If you're on TikTok and you're interested in having a real conversation by voice, let me know. I'll invite you as a guest and we can have a conversation. So let me give a drink of water. Sorry about that. So I'm Joe. I'm a solutions architect in the enterprise software space. Been working in the tech industry for nearly 30 years. The world is crazy with AI, crazy with layoffs. So I thought I would jump in and see if I can help anybody out, maybe ease some fears, give you some career advice. So drop a comment, drop a like, and let's see if we can have a conversation. And TGIF, it's Friday evening here in Chicago. Can you ask questions and not get kicked off? Sure, you can ask questions and not get kicked off as long as they're respectful. I'm more than happy to entertain just about anything. Can you say hi to me? Hello, how are you, Aiden? Hello, Win Kirkland. Welcome. So you got questions, comments, need a little advice in terms of career, whether you're in the tech industry or not, doesn't make a difference. I am happy to try to give you advice. Again, my name is Joe. Been working in the tech industry for nearly 30 years. I am a bit older than I look. I don't say that for vanity, just for kind of a reality check. So, do you have a question? Was it Win Kirkland? Let's see. TikTok is indicating they're not hearing me. I don't think that's quite true. Do you believe in the Big Bang or the Big Expansion? Well, that's a pretty esoterical question. Well, if you're asking about the beginning of the universe, to be honest, I'm closer to an atheist than I am anything else. So that largely comes from my technology background and science background. So therefore, I do believe in evolution in terms of how it's laid out from a science perspective. But I respect anybody's belief and what they believe in. I think everybody should have the right to believe in whatever they want. If it gives them comfort and direction in life, I'm all for it. Yes, more or less I'm an atheist. I was raised Catholic, though. So for anybody who's joining us on the various channels, various platforms, we are streaming on 4 different platforms at the moment. Actually, take that back. We're streaming on actually 3 different platforms at the moment. So when I get questions on the other side, I will be sure to read them out so that you can hear the questions and the responses within their context. Live and let live. Yes, absolutely. So if you've got questions, comments, or just general thoughts, feel free to drop them in. I'm happy to respond to them. And if you're on TikTok and you would like to have a voice conversation, let me know. I will pull you in. We'll let you know that a voice conversation in TikTok will be heard throughout all the live streams. Welcome, Ron, to the TikTok Live. If you've got questions, comments, feel free to drop them in. Happy to chat about them. Again, my name's Joe. Been in the tech industry for nearly 30 years, the enterprise software space. And things are getting pretty crazy if you're paying attention to the news, to the finance world, to jobs. 108,000 layoffs announced in January, one of the highest numbers since 2009. So a lot of changes coming our way in 2026. So what's your area of expertise in solutions architecture? So my focus has been for really the last 20 plus years something called CCM, which is Customer Communications Management Software. But as a solutions architect, it is about devising solutions that integrate into multiple systems. So it's not just strictly customer communications. You typically have to expand and be what I like to call, in a tongue-in-cheek way, a jack of all trades and a master of none. That's pretty much what a solutions architect is. And Wendell, welcome. Martin, welcome. If you got questions, comments, let me know. Okay, someone has an expletive. Not sure why. Anyways, so if you've got questions, comments, happy to try to address them. I can see most of the chats across all the streams, so feel free to drop them in, and happy to have a conversation about them. If you've got questions, ask, and I'll do my best to answer you. So is anybody out there recently laid off due to AI, or at least your company blaming AI? Or are you concerned about being laid off as related to something going on at your company with AI? Or perhaps are you a new grad or in school trying to figure out your direction given the what seems to be somewhat unstable environment that we're currently in? Certainly a rapidly changing environment that we're in. So drop your questions, comments. Happy to talk about them. It says, how do you parse the layoff news attributable to AI directly versus claimed to be but probably not? So that's a good question. And the reality is this, and this is kind of one of the reasons why I've decided to jump into social media in terms of various platforms and streaming and trying to share information. So I've been deep into the AI world now for about 2.5 years. As a person who works in tech, I have a lot of firsthand knowledge in terms of what's going on with it and firsthand experience. And I can tell you that it is evolving at such a rapid pace, far beyond what even the people who are involved in it really expected it to be, even at this point in time. So there are a lot of naysayers out there. There are also a lot of people who don't necessarily believe in its capabilities. And you have a lot of people even within large companies who are simply not using it. There's some numbers that have been released as related to the amount that some companies are paying to access things like Copilot, Microsoft's Copilot, which actually is kind of a wrapper to use multiple models or direct access to things like OpenAI or Gemini. So there are companies out there that are paying for these things, and they're seeing statistics, because of course they track all this stuff, to understand that only a small percentage of their employees are actually using it. Now, I work in corporate America. I'm still full-time employed, and I can tell you that it is a struggle to get people to adopt new technology, no matter what the technology is. So, to your question, do I think it's just puffery or exaggeration, right, to puff up or to support the AI market, or do I think it's real? I absolutely believe it's real, because I see it firsthand. I see it absolutely firsthand. So that's my answer. Hopefully you like it. Hello. I'm not sure what your name is, because it's an at and L, but hello and welcome. If you got questions, comments is related to anything AI related, tech related, specifically tech industry, career advice. And the career advice I can offer you, why should you listen to me at all? Some random gentleman on the internet doing a live stream Friday evening. It's fairly simple. I've weathered a lot of storms over the last 30 years. I've managed to weather Y2K, because I am that old. I managed to weather the .com, the run-up, which was a glorious time. I've managed to weather .com bust. I managed to weather the significant offshoring that occurred in the tech industry. And I also weathered the financial crisis, in which many companies used it as an excuse to lay off, regardless of whether they were directly affected by it or not. And then here we are with AI, and we're basically 2.5 years into it. And personally, I'm thriving with it. I'm thriving in my role. I'm thriving in my company. And I see an opportunity to thrive independently with it as well, if that's what you're interested in. So that's a little bit of my background story. My technical title is Solutions Architect. Most of my social media handles are Solutions Joe. I've got questions, comments. Feel free to drop them in, and I will do my best to answer. If you are on TikTok, you are more than welcome to have an audio conversation, and happy to have that. And if you enjoy a little thriller music or sound effects, there you go. Hello, muzzle load. So again, questions, comments. Now sometimes what I do is sometimes I will bring in what I call a special guest. That happens to be advanced voice mode of OpenAI. And I call him Chatty. I call him Chatty. You can call him they. Technically not technically gender neutral. But anyways, unfortunately, Chatty is, I'm out of credits with Chatty at the moment, so that will have to wait for another day. So I see another question. So you don't believe in the Big Bang or Big Expansion? You don't care, maybe? I'll leave you alone. No, I did answer you earlier. Perhaps you didn't hear me. Like I said, that's where, if you're referring to the evolution of the universe, I believe it's scientific based and not based in religions. So again, personal opinion. Everybody's welcome to believe what they want to believe. So you got questions, comments, feel free to drop them in and we can have a conversation. A little bit of career advice, a little bit of insight in terms of what's going on right now, the wacky world, finance world, with the software stocks. I work in enterprise software, thus the Solutions Architect title. So feel free to drop me a chat or comment question, I will do my best to answer it. So let's see. No new questions at the moment. Little background. So I'm located in Chicago. It's actually warm today at 31 degrees. That's Fahrenheit. We've been getting a lot of cold weather, and it's been pretty quite a bit of snow, much more snow than we've had for quite some time. So again, I can see chats and comments pretty much across the all the live streams. So I see a question, what have you built? I'm actually in the process of building, as a side project, a SaaS application, multi-tenant, multi-user SaaS application for, it's kind of like home budgeting, but it has more to do with kind of expense management across multiple people within a home or a family or even a business to be able to handle those types of splits seamlessly. So if you think about how people split out expenses, even among personal homes and things, a lot of times they're using a lot of spreadsheets, and it gets complicated and not to mention aggravating. And most people fall behind in terms of splitting expenses. Even companies do, small companies. So that's one of the main projects I'm working on, using Cloud Code and Codex simultaneously in doing that coding, and it's worked out actually quite well for me. But as a solutions architect, I've worked with everything from mainframes to distributed systems, meaning Linux, Unix, AAX back in the day, Windows systems and servers. Now, a lot of what we're doing are cloud-based and containerization types of solutions. So the list goes on and on. Again, if you're just joining us as a solutions architect, tongue-in-cheek, I say I am a jack of all trades, a master of none. Okay, but in today's world, guess what? AI does the heavy lifting. AI does provide the hard skill, deep domain knowledge, and that's what people need to understand. So, hello, boss. Thank you. Which country architecture is the let's see, I've got a few more questions coming in. Let's see. What have you built? I'm asking because I'm trying to understand why you are an atheist. I'm just an atheist because I'm science based. It's really that simple. If you know who Neil deGrasse is, very famous scientist, he'll give you kind of the same answer. Again, not judging anybody. I would support anybody's belief and right to believe. Okay, let's see. Which country architecture is the best as your personal opinion in the world? Are you referring to buildings? Because as a solutions architect, we're talking about enterprise software, and implementation of solutions utilizing software in multiple systems within a large enterprise. Think large insurance companies, finance companies, utility companies. I've worked for federal government, local government, state governments, Fortune 50, Fortune 250, Fortune 500, many clients over the years. So it's not building architecture, but it's software architecture. And then, hello, Peter. You work in TPRM. What's can you define that for me? I'm not familiar with the acronym. TPRM. I'm guessing maybe it's got something to do with cybersecurity. So it's that's an interesting field, one of which I've considered getting into many different times over my career. Let's see. AI is great, but still seeing my banking clients relying on green screens and spreadsheets on shared drives. I see executives asking us to deploy half-baked AI solutions. It's a struggle. Yep, absolutely. So that is so this is LTD. Welcome. That's absolutely correct, and I've seen the same thing. But here's the challenge, and what a lot of people don't understand when it comes to corporate America, especially, and this is actually true about corporations worldwide. Corporations, they have three primary kind of pillars they're responsible for. Okay, and give me 1 second. I do need to do something real quick. Hold on 1 second for me. Okay. I'm actually ordering some food so that I can eat here shortly. Okay, that's done. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, that's actually a really good observation related to the industries and the adoption. I've seen it firsthand, but I've also seen it for honestly the 30 years. I just recently worked with a client who has a number of. We've got let's see, invite Jessica Graven to co-host The Friend is Live. Okay, Jessica, I'm gonna bring you in, I guess. Oops, now you're gone. I don't know if that was not sure if that was just a recommendation by TikTok or not. Sorry guys, with so many streaming platforms, it's hard to keep track of all the little pop-ups and stuff. But welcome. So getting back to green screens, yeah, I just recently worked with a client pulling up green screens. And for anybody who's not familiar, mainframes, when you're working with a mainframe, you're working basically with the terminal. It's a green screen. It's all text-based, and it's very annoying mostly. And again, I've done everything on mainframes in terms of implementing software, implementing solutions. I've done some JCLs and a whole variety of other things. Again, as a solutions architect in the enterprise software space, more often than not, you're expected to be able to do a little bit of everything. Now, some solutions architects in the enterprise space, well, if they're not in the enterprise software space, but they're working, say, for a company directly, like an insurance company or a utility company, and they're considered an architect or even a solutions architect, they tend not to actually have a deep domain knowledge of a lot of different technologies. They're much higher level. They're the big picture people. But if you're a solutions architect working for an enterprise software company, you actually need to have kind of a fairly deep domain knowledge in terms of technology, and certainly a domain knowledge about lots of different things. And this is where the power of AI is now coming into play. It is allowing me to do multiple roles that otherwise I would not be able to do. And if you think about that, what that's going to cause is something called role compression, AI role compression, where when it used to take 3 to 4 people to accomplish a task, now with the power of AI to be able to do the hard skills, okay, you're going to have a single person be able to handle that multiple roles under a single role. So that's where role compression is going to come in. That's what AI is going to do. I've seen it firsthand. I've experienced it firsthand. And that is really where the companies are going to have the greatest opportunity to lay people off. Okay, so let me take a look at questions again here. Let's see. Is great. Third-party risk management. I see iScreen Solutions. Yep. I just got a job out of Naperville. It pays well, and the area is nice. Very nice, Peter. You're not too far from me. I'm in Chicago, in the city. I was actually born in Naperville. There's a little side note nobody needed to know. Let's see. My teams use AI tools every day as work accelerator, which is much easier path to adoption. Suspect legacy core systems will slow its adoption to some degree. Yeah, and that's the thing, is if you look at it as it's being used today, it's being used as an augment to human labor, okay? And it makes me at work exponentially more productive. And this is the benefit. So what happens is if you're in a group of people, call it 10 people, okay? So if you're in a group of 10 people and two of you truly embrace AI and it accelerates your productivity, let's say 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, okay? But the other 8 people, they're not embracing AI. They're not taking the time to learn it, to benefit from it, and accelerate the productivity. Because at the end of the day, no matter what the technology is, there's always a pushback to adopt it. People didn't want to adopt computers. People didn't want to adopt calculators. They probably didn't want to adopt the slide rule when it first came out, right? So that type of pushback has always existed. The problem with it today is those 2 people who have embraced it within that group of 10 people, they're going to be the ones who don't get laid off because their productivity has gone up so high. They can begin to absorb, if not absorb, all of the 10 people that were there or the additional 8 people's output that they were doing from a productivity perspective into just those 2 people. That's the key. That's the key. Okay? So questions, comments, feel free to drop them. I'm going to be dropping off here pretty soon because my food is going to be arriving pretty soon. But there's lots of interesting things to talk about. Again, if you are looking for some advice, feel free. LTD, I think we talked about that one already. But yeah, those who embrace it and those who take time to learn it are really going to benefit. If you're a fan of Gary Vee, he talks about this all the time because people ask him all the time, right? What should I do regarding AI? He says, have you spent time learning it? No. Well, that's the first thing you need to do. The very first thing you need to do is embrace it and go learn it. And what does that mean? That means spending several hours a day, well, at least 1 hour a day, learning. But here's the biggest challenge, and even for me, in which I kind of live and breathe this stuff, the problem is it changes so rapidly, and it is not an exaggeration to say that every 2 days something new is coming out from a feature or function perspective here. It's really quite crazy. LTD, however, our clients want lower consulting budgets and rates to share the savings. So here's an interesting thought, LTD, if you're still there on that topic, okay? Companies that are involved in hourly charges, and these are typically things like professional services, legal services, financial services, consulting services, implementation services, okay? They are going to have to move away from the hourly billing, and they're going to have to move to what they call a atomic unit of work billing, okay? So if something would normally take you 5 hours to complete, maybe you charge 5 atomic units of work for that, regardless of whether you get it done in 2 minutes with AI or whether you had to do it all manually and it took you 5 hours. It's going to evolve. I already see it not only in our industry that I'm in, but I also have had conversations with friends who are lawyers, and they are also in the process of making those changes. Any other questions, comments? Okay. So again, thanks for joining. We can talk a little bit more before my food arrives. I'll watch my phone. Questions, comments? If I can offer you any kind of advice on your career, job, your industry, doesn't make a difference whether it is tech industry or not. Okay, let's see. Moving to fixed fee more often for new deals. Yeah, so the fixed fee, we are doing similar things as well, but the problem with fixed fees are scope and managing scope, right? Because as soon as you do a fixed fee, you've got to manage scope on that project really tightly. Otherwise, your margins get crushed. If you move to what they call, again, atomic units of work, right? Which are not directly related to hours, but more related to value, right? Try to give you a simple example. If I have to connect two systems together and do a certain amount of scripting to make it happen, or program writing to make it happen, right? That's got a value of 5. Maybe it takes me 5 minutes to do. Maybe it would have taken me, 15 hours to do if I had to do it all manually, right? But regardless, we're going to charge the customer those 5 atomic units times $500 an hour, and that's what they're going to pay. So, does AI bubble investment markets concern you? No. And I'll tell you exactly why. So if you've been paying attention to the finance markets over the last few days, you have noticed and seen, right, that the market got hit pretty hard. And one of the areas that got hit really hard was the enterprise software market. Now, on the other hand, the concept of investing in the picks and shovels, if you've heard that terminology before, basically means if you're investing in the companies that are providing the infrastructure, the support to the AI kind of evolution that we're going through here, you're in a far better position than investing in those who are trying to find the value in it, so to speak, right? And that's largely software companies. I've seen this time and time again with products that I use personally in my personal life, with products that I've used in business, right? Everybody's trying to figure out, what do I do with AI? Oh, I know. I'm going to take it and I'm going to just shove it into this little spot here, right? Into the product. And there you go. Now that product's got AI. We can tell everybody that product's got AI. And in some cases, that implementation of AI within the product is relatively worthless. So that's not who I would be investing in. I would be investing in the picks and shovels, which is basically your AMDs, your NVIDIA, things of that nature. They cannot produce enough hardware at this point in time to supply the need that's out there. Just listen to Justin Wong or Jason Wong today, the NVIDIA CEO, and he has said it over and over again. And now their used GPUs are hitting the market from about 5 or 6 years ago, and guess what? They're selling for above market. So they're selling at a premium from what they were originally purchased at. So no, it doesn't concern me, but because again, I'm in the thick of this. I'm seeing what's happening. I'm seeing literally every 2 or 3 days a new feature, a new product coming out. In fact, up until just the other day, I couldn't create a presentation that was basically a motion graphics presentation, and I have a creative background as well. I have the full Adobe suite. I've had it for many, many years. I work with it on a regular basis for doing content development and a variety of other things. I used to do digital marketing on the side, and when I was doing that, if you've ever done any kind of motion graphics work, you understand it takes a huge amount of time and effort to put something together that looks relatively simple. Now, through a platform that I use called Higgsfield, which is a collaboration of, or collective, I should say, of a variety of models and their own software kind of on top of those models to integrate some of the pieces, you can now create a motion graphics presentation with basically, from a prompt. I tried it the other day because I had something stuck in my brain from work that I wanted to get out, which as a geek happens, and if you're a geek, you understand what I'm saying. And it worked. It worked very well. I was blown away. Showed it to some coworkers, and they were blown away. So, no, it's definitely not a bubble. Definitely not going away. I am concerned about what society is going to look like, honestly, in the next 2 to 3 years. And then let's see, they're all in circular deals with each other, though. No, I understand what you're saying in terms of the Ponzi and the circular, but I've also dug into that in some of the deals and stuff. There are a lot of mechanics in finance, and if anybody's listening and you're in finance, you probably know this better than I do. But there's a lot of mechanics in finance. There are a lot of mechanics in the stock market, and because of this, things work a certain way. Okay. And for the average person to see how things work from a finance mechanics perspective or even a financial markets perspective, it's very, very confusing. But if you understand it, you understand kind of what's going on and how it's going on. So no, it doesn't concern me, because at the end of the day, right, I know firsthand, I know from their quarterly reports and from their yearly reports, as well as from other independent market research, as I mentioned, when it comes to NVIDIA as an example, they literally cannot produce enough hardware to meet the supply. And we've never been in that kind of position before. It's one of the reasons why AMD is doing so well, because they're starting to fill some of that gap. So, interesting conversations, good questions, appreciate it. Any other questions or comments? Feel free to drop them. Anybody on TikTok, if you want to have a voice conversation, let me know. Happy to do that. And again, we're streaming on X and short and longs on YouTube and also on TikTok. It says, if you were right, we have social employment crisis. If you're wrong, it's one of the worst debt-fueled bubbles ever. Well, I would love to say that I'm wrong. It's kind of, your question, right, is a no-win answer, right? Whether I'm right or wrong, it's in most cases it's a no-win situation. The reality is, I believe that I am right, and again, if you listen to the smartest people in the room, whether you like them or not, it's not a statement on their personalities or anything else. But the people like Sam Altman and those who are in similar positions at the other large AI companies, they are pounding the table and trying to communicate their message to the governments around the world. And that is, you need to start thinking about UBI. Okay? What's UBI? Universal Basic Income. Now, for a lot of people, that might sound socialistic, and this is not a political channel. I'm not going to get into politics. But the reality is that if you take jobs away, especially if you take jobs away from the high earners, which are basically the keyboard warriors, okay, any job that is working on a keyboard tends to pay higher than other jobs. If you take away all those jobs, then where is the income going to come from for those people to be able to live some respectful level of life, right? And that's where UBI comes in, Universal Basic Income. That's a concept. Whether it ever takes off will be interesting. Given how some countries react, I wouldn't be surprised if we find ourselves, significantly down a very dark road before people wake up in terms of understanding that they will need to do something. Yeah, your statement regarding Altman as a con man, it doesn't surprise me. Okay, it honestly doesn't surprise me. He is a what do they like to call people like that? They like to call him a controversial figure or a polarizing figure, right? So that's why I said you either love him or hate him. Doesn't make a difference to me. Okay. My point being is, I listen, I read, I watch, and I am paying attention not just to one source, but multiple sources. Then I layer that with my own personal experience. And I can guarantee you that for me, 30 years in this industry, I have never encountered such an evolution in technology. Never. It's insane. It scares me every day. Yeah, well, that whole thing about too big to fail, that's the frightening part, right? And I mean, it's a good discussion to have, because the reality is the too big to fail. Well, too big to fail is a concept that says if XYZ fails, if this company fails or this organization fails, it's not only going to take itself down, but it's also going to take down a significant number of other entities around it, whatever those entities may be. That's the concept. We had that with the financial crisis here in the United States, and with an AI company as large as OpenAI, that may or may not be true. Where I have the bigger concern is, okay, is if all your productivity is coming from AI, okay, well, in order to use AI, you have to have inference. In order to have inferences, you have large data centers doing lots of processing, and this processing is occurring very, very rapidly in milliseconds, okay? Now, if those data centers go offline, if we have utility problems or electrical supply problems, that is honestly a bigger concern to me than anything else, because then you basically have all your eggs in one basket, so to speak, in terms of productivity. And what happens if that process can't run, okay, in terms of the data center? And now for that individual task or person or whatever is occurring at that point in time, the productivity drops significantly, if not goes offline completely. Now, having said that, these people aren't stupid, right? So one of the things that has been happening, and one of the evolutions that has been happening here over time, is that the models are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. They're using larger and larger models to create actually smaller and smaller models. The goal is to ultimately get the models to be able to run independently, like on your phone or on your computer, okay, with minimal amount of resources. And that is something they are working towards, and they're working towards it very hard, because that will then allow you to, in essence, carry around in your pocket on your phone access to nearly all the information in the world, okay, at your fingertips and available to you offline. So if you could imagine being stuck in the middle of the woods and not having any kind of connectivity, but you needed to know how to survive, well, you've got the smartest person in your pocket to ask your survival questions to, and get real answers, and also get not only real answers but get contextual answers for what's around you, because you can flip on your camera, you can show the AI what's around you, get recommendations, suggestions, how to do XYZ to survive, this type of thing. That's the dream, if you will. I don't know if we'll get there or not, but it'll be interesting. So AI companies running out of non-synthetic data to train on. Yep, that's why they've been doing lots of synthetic data creation, right? And specialized models are more efficient and accurate for sure. Yep, and that is true. But I've also seen some papers on them using large models to build small models. And then these small models are as intelligent as the big models. And that's the crazy thing about AI, right? And this is what I call the AI mindset shift that people need to make if they really want to thrive in this environment. And that is, anytime you have a hard problem, or you are involved in a process or a multi-step process or task, you need to stop yourself for a moment and say, wait, if I feel like I'm having a moment here of being stuck, or I'm having a moment here where I'm like, how do I do X, Y, Z? You need to start thinking AI first, not last. And I've done this many times now over the last few years, or last two and a half years, where when I'm stuck, I'm like, wait, how do I, why not involve AI in solving my first step? And then we can go on to the next step. And that's the key thing, from a solutions architect perspective. We are all about breaking down problems into solutions, okay, step by step. Hello, Zeke. Welcome to the TikTok. We are actually streaming on multiple platforms, on YouTube and on X, and also on TikTok. If you have questions, comments, feel free to drop them in. I'm happy to try to answer them for you. I believe you were in one of my live streams before, if I remember, and you were asking some questions. So welcome back. I appreciate the hearts. Yeah, it's going to be a crazy world. It's going to be a crazy world for sure. LTD, I appreciate the comments and the involvement. It means a lot, keeps the conversation going. Now I got to check to see if my food orders are arriving anytime soon here. Nope, not quite yet. So I got a little time. So if you got questions, comments. Thanks, Zach or Zeke. Appreciate it. Hope you're having a good day. Whereabouts in the world are you located, Zeke? And Zeke is on TikTok. So it's definitely changing what the most valued aptitudes and skills are in tech. Absolutely. You're absolutely right about that. I've made several different videos on this. I've had North Carolina. Oops. Well, very nice. I've been there, I think, once or twice for work. I used to travel a lot for work, but over the last 6-7 years, it fell off considerably. Yeah, regarding the skills, I've actually done a couple different videos and some shorts and things on how to best prepare yourself or who's going to kind of win in the AI age when it comes to jobs and skills. And by far, it's going to be soft skills, right? The ability to communicate, the ability to take a problem or problems, break them down into components, and figure out the solutions, even if the solutions are AI, even if you're using AI to solve the problems, right? And strategy and the empathy aspect of connecting with another human being, because in most cases, regardless of whether a company of, let's say, 1,000 people gets whittled down to 10 people, you're still going to be communicating with one of those 10 people in respect to selling them something, whether it's your services, whether it's a product, whether whatever it might be. And soft skills are going to be the number one aptitude, if you will, or number one asset that anybody can have in order to really thrive in what I think is going to be a completely new world. And why do I say that mainly? Because all the hard skills, they're going to be taken care of by AI, but you're going to have to understand how to ask for those hard skills or how to put those hard skills together in some kind of step-by-step process or workflow in order to ultimately solve whatever problem you have or provide a full kind of end-to-end solution to a customer if that's who you're working for. So yeah, I think LTD, if you want, and I don't know, obviously don't know you and don't know your background, but my simplest advice for anybody who is wanting to boost their soft skills is very, very simple. There's an organization called Toastmasters. They're everywhere. I've been and was involved with them for quite some time. When I was in college and after college. But it's all about developing communication and presentation skills. And these are going to be the things that are going to win the day for you as AI evolves. And if you have a technical aptitude and you have the ability to be able to break down problems into components, now you become a very valuable asset to any organization or company, because you can communicate, you can strategize, and you can use AI to do the heavy lifting for the roles that otherwise would be filled by other people that required hard skills, whether those are coding, programming, finance, accounting, things of this nature. Yep. Well, the team leadership is kind of interesting because the team leadership is likely going to be leading agents, right? Leading autonomous agents. But that whole orchestration process of those agents is going to be a valuable skill. But all the other ones you're mentioning absolutely are beneficial soft skills. So you've been working for quite some time, looks like, in the tech space as well. Principal consultant, debt collection. Excuse me. So you know. And the problem is, and again, this is not directed to you specifically, but I've been in the industry for so long, I can count on literally one hand the number of people I have met in the tech space that if they weren't a salesperson, if they weren't management, right, and by that very nature of those roles, they tend not to understand too much about the technology, but they can spit out enough words and buzzwords to manage and to sell it. But I'm talking about the developers, the engineers, even many of the consultants. These people, I can count on one hand the number that not only have really good communication skills, but can think beyond their own nose, if you will, right? Thinking about the bigger picture. There's nothing that's going to excite your boss or the C-suite anywhere, okay, more than you thinking about ROI and outcomes. And I've said this many times before, they do not care about your software stack, okay? They don't care about the how, they care about the outcome and the related ROI. That's it. And that's why they're so quick to jump on, of course, AI, because of all its promises of outcome. They don't understand it. I can guarantee you, most people I hear talk about AI, even the talking heads on CNBC, they do not understand it, but they will talk about it all day long. Where is my food? That's the question. Excuse me 1 second. Okay. So let's see. Yes, scalability, compliance, cost of goods, ease of change, and interoperability with the future AI. That is true. But the key thing is to speak the management language, right? To speak the management language and the client language. And again, these people, rightfully so, they don't care about the details. They want the outcome, and they want to understand, am I going to get a return on my investment? And if you can answer those two questions straightforward, no matter how we get there, they will view it as a win. So, but too many, and this is why a lot of software engineers and software developers are going to be really, really challenged, because they think their tech stack is first of all, there is no right solution. I can tell you that after 30 years. I've never once seen only one way to get to an end point, if you will, or to an end result. There's always multiple ways of getting there. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that most software engineers, software developers, they think their tech stack is, that their tech stack is what matters. Their software stack is what matters. And at the end of the day, nobody cares. Okay, they care about the outcome. So give them an outcome. Give it to them as quickly as possible. Give it to them as low cost as possible, or at least in a way that it significantly shows value for what you're delivering, and you will win. Absolutely, complex is not better. I try to well, that's my mantra. Has been my mantra for a long time, and the number of times I've said that to clients as well as fellow coworkers. That complex is not better. All complexity does is end up creating more maintenance nightmares. So what's going to be interesting, LTD, if you're still there, is, as software rolls out that's completely AI written, okay, what's going to be interesting is the maintenance aspect of it. Now, with the SaaS program that I've been writing on the side, I'm beginning to pull back the layers, if you will, on the onion, so to speak, to better understand, when I have to do some refactoring or when I'm adding a new feature that may break another feature, how this is all kind of playing out with the coding agents. And it's definitely pretty interesting. One of the biggest problems that I see, honestly, with even the little project that I'm currently working on, is managing the testing part. And that's something that I'm really going to try to focus on here in the very near future in terms of, I've already automated some of my testing, but it needs to be done in a way that it can be rapidly iterated on. And that's the challenge, because if I'm turning out features and functions, in minutes, right? Well, the testing has to be able to keep up with that, right? And if you wait to test until, you put in 10 new features, then, often you can find yourself, having to backtrack a bit. So I think that's going to be one of the bigger challenges, managing that whole testing part, QA part, and getting it out there. But here's an interesting concept. So, you said your clients have so much tech. Oh yeah. Well, if you're working in that space, absolutely, so much tech debt. I mean, I've seen that in that space. Again, I've done a lot of work for finance companies as well, and governments. And there's a lot of governments that are still on mainframes, and they're trying to get off of it, and it's extremely painful. But here's an interesting thought, and this is something that came to me this week. I think, especially with enterprise applications, I think we're going to see a huge reduction in what is referred to as UX, the user experience, and specifically around the UIs. Why have, especially with the move to cloud, why have somebody go through, 6 or 7 different clicks to achieve something when they could type in a sentence or just click on their mic and say, create me a design page, right? Boom, design page done, right? Do I need to see it? Sure, you can show me a sample or a screenshot of it or something of that nature, but I don't need to necessarily work with it with my hands. And I believe this is going to be a very interesting opportunity when it comes to enterprise software. Get rid of largely the UI, and if you get rid of that web-based UI and strip it down to basically a simplified input, which is natural language, text-based or natural language, and then just show the outcomes, right? You now are in a scenario in which you've got a whole lot less effort in terms of building out that SaaS, especially in enterprise SaaS. It's an interesting thought. I think it's going to catch fire sooner than later. And that is my thoughts. Okay, I think I'm going to wrap this up. I appreciate everybody who's dropped in and hung around and listened. We've had people on all the different platforms. So thank you very much. TGIF, enjoy your Friday and your weekend. If you're in a cold part of the country, feel free, or hope you stay warm. And thanks for dropping in. Bye-bye.